Before factories, before automation, before anything resembling the modern world, there was a man standing before a roaring forge, his face lit amber by the heat, his hands steady, his knowledge passed down through generations of hard-won mastery. Pre-industrial blacksmithing wasn't just a trade. It was the backbone of every civilization that ever planted a field, fought a war, or built a city. And the science behind it, hidden in plain sight for centuries, is as sophisticated as anything taught in a modern metallurgy classroom. Reading the fire. Temperature without a thermometer. Imagine working without a single dial gauge or digital readout. Your only thermometer is the color of glowing metal. A dull, barely visible red tells you the iron is softening, workable but only just. As it climbs through cherry red and into bright orange, the atomic structure is loosening, the grains shifting, the metal becoming clay in your hands. Push it to blinding white hot, and you're approaching forge welding territory, where two pieces of iron can be fused into one under the hammer, as if they were never separate at all. This was not guesswork. Experienced smiths could read these colors with an accuracy modern instruments have confirmed sights within roughly 50 degrees Celsius. That kind of precision, built entirely from years of observation, represents one of history's most underappreciated scientific achievements. Grain, carbon, and the making of steel. Every blow of the hammer was doing something invisible and profound. When a smith repeatedly heated, folded, and worked a piece of wrought iron, he was refining its grain structure, breaking down impurities, aligning the internal crystalline architecture, and increasing the metal's density and tensile strength. He didn't have the language of materials science, but he understood cause and effect with absolute certainty. Steel, iron's harder, more capable cousin, was created through a process called cementation, where wrought iron was packed in charcoal and held at high heat for days. Carbon from the charcoal slowly migrated into the iron, transforming it at the molecular level. The smith had no knowledge of atomic diffusion. He simply knew it worked, and he trusted the process the way a baker trusts fermentation. The art of hardening and the wisdom of tempering. Here is where blacksmithing becomes almost, well, alchemical. Once a blade or tool was shaped, the smith would heat it to a precise critical temperature, judged again entirely by color, and plunge it into water or oil. This quenching process froze the carbon structure in place, creating a surface of extraordinary hardness. But you know, hardness alone is a liability. A perfectly hard blade will shatter like glass under lateral stress. So the smith tempered it. Reheating the quenched steel to a lower, carefully controlled temperature allowed the internal structure to relax just enough, trading a fraction of hardness for a significant gain in toughness. The result was a tool that could hold a razor edge without breaking under pressure. This balance, achieved entirely through sensory skill and accumulated wisdom, remains the foundational principle of tool-making to this day. Japanese and European mastery, two paths to perfection. Across the world, different cultures arrived at brilliant solutions to the same central problem. How do you make a tool that is both hard enough to cut and tough enough to survive? Japanese swordsmiths working with Tamahagane steel, produced in a clay furnace called a tatara, faced a bloom of iron with wildly inconsistent carbon content throughout. Their genius lay in sorting, selecting, and combining those pieces, wrapping softer iron around a hard steel core to produce a blade with a cutting edge of extraordinary sharpness backed by a spine resilient enough to absorb shock without snapping. European smiths took their own elegant approach, often forging a sandwich construction, softer iron on the outside for flexibility and shock absorption, with a hard steel core or edge insert providing the cutting power. Both traditions arrived at the same truth through entirely different paths. The best tools are not made from one material doing one job, but from a careful marriage of properties working in harmony. The living legacy of the forge. What makes pre-industrial blacksmithing so remarkable and so relevant to anyone who cares about self-reliance today is that it represents the highest possible expression of making do with what you have. No modern conveniences, no safety nets, no instruction manuals, just fire, iron, hammer, and a mind trained to observe, adapt, and solve. The skills of these smiths didn't just build tools, they built the world, and the principles they mastered through pure, empirical experience, understanding materials, managing heat, balancing competing properties, are the same principles that underpin every field of engineering and craft that followed them. For the modern bushcrafter or preparedness-minded individual, there is a humbling and inspiring lesson buried in every strike of that pre-industrial hammer. Deep competence, earned slowly, is the most durable tool of all. If this episode sparked something in you, whether you're a history enthusiast, a bushcraft practitioner, or simply someone who respects the ingenuity of those who came before us, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles and never miss an episode. Share this video with someone who values self-reliance, history, and the timeless art of building something that lasts. The forge is still burning. Let's learn from it together.